Hello everyone, what is happening? I'm your host Ayman Hasan and welcome back to another video here at Most Amazing Top 10. Apparently we all like hearing about theories to do with twisting and turning what a lot of us have watched growing up. So the series happily continues. Today's victim, Peppa Pig. For the uninitiated, Peppa Pig is a British preschool animated show that first aired back in 2004 but is shown all over the world. It focuses on Peppa, obviously a little female pig, and her family as well as her friends who are various other species of animals. Each episode focuses on everyday activities like riding their bikes, going swimming, visiting their grandparents. You get the gist. And now that you've gotten the gist, let's ruin it. But before the wreckage begins, guys, do subscribe to the channel and top 10 Hindi videos for more videos that you guys love. Yes, there are subtitles, and yes, there is me, and yes, there is more. But without further ado, this is the top 10 scary Peppa Pig theories. Starting us off with number 10 is a post-apocalyptic world. Now riddle me this, guys, the show's main characters are all anamorphic animals, right? They're just like us, they wear clothes, watch TV, argue with their parents, go to school, etc. But there are some animals in the show that are just animals. Like Tiddles, the show's tortoise, is just a tortoise on the ground, and the ducks are also just ducks swimming in the pond, eating bread, and even the parrot that lives with Grandpa and Granny Pig is just sitting on a perch saying a few words here and there. The kids, who are, let's remind ourselves, animals themselves, also have their own pets like geckos or goldfish. So why are some animals like humans and why are some like animals? Is there even a function of the non-mammals? Journalist Jenny Morrill theorized that the world Peppa Pig takes place in is actually a post-apocalyptic world where all humans have been wiped out other than the Queen, apparently, and hence the food chain has left the mammals at the top of the food chain, leaving all inferior animals to take the role previously filled by mammals, whether that's livestock or pets. Coming in at number 9 now, we have Daddy Pig's parents. Now we've met Mummy Pig's parents, Granny and Grandpa Pig, many times, but we've never met Daddy Pig's parents, and why is that? Surely if they're all human-like, Peppa should have two sets of grandparents, right? Well, this theory revolves around them. The theory claims that when Daddy and Mummy Pig met and fell in love, that Granny and Grandpa Pig didn't approve of Daddy Pig and his parents. As you probably assumed from their accents, Grandpa and Granny Pig have a very posh accent as compared to everyone else as well, so the theory is that Daddy Pig's family was from a lower class, and so neither Granny nor Grandpa wanted Mummy Pig to get involved with him. Drama. But once they got married, they eventually accepted him but told him to cut ties with his parents, and thus we never get introduced to them in the show or even hear their names being said. Tut tut tut, Grandpa and Granny Pig, are you that judgmental? At number 8 is playgroup. Now in watching the show, the playgroup everyone goes to is very structured like a school. They learn things, they behave, they listen to Madame Gazelle, whereas a playgroup is more unstructured and the kids are mostly just playing around. At times during the show they even refer to it as a school, either when a school play is going on or a school feat is taking place. But why is everyone in the same class? Peppa and her friends are 4 years old and George and his friends are only 18 months old, yet they're all in the same class learning the same things. Now either Peppa and all her friends were held back 3 years, or George and his friends are very smart for their age and are in Peppa's year. Or, as this theory suggests, Peppa is living in a parallel universe where she's destined to repeat the same school year over and over again, learning the same things again and again until she can break the cycle. Hence she tries to do other things every day to break the monotony of life she faces by continuously doing the same school year. I mean, honestly, I don't blame her. I couldn't imagine going back to school, let alone doing the same school year over and over again. Like, no. That's a hard no from me. Filling our number 7 slot, we have Post-Apocalyptic World Part 2. Now this is an extension of Theory 10, but it expands on a totally different aspect of the show, so I thought it deserved its own point. So we've already established all the characters may be living in a post-apocalyptic world with no humans other than the Queen, but why are all the characters the same size? Dr. Hamster is the same size as Emily Elephant, who is the same size as Rebecca Rabbit, who is the same size as Kylie Kangaroo. That doesn't add up. Well, the second part of this theory by Jenny claims that humans were probably wiped out by a nuclear war, which left a lot of radiation left over, which caused the animals to mutate. So either all the animals are as small as a rabbit or they're as big as an elephant, whichever one you want to suspend your disbelief to. But it does sort of link with their ages. I mean, Granny and Grandpa Pig are a bit bigger than Mummy and Daddy Pig, so there is that add-on as well. And of course the theory doesn't apply to all the non-mammal animals we discussed in the first part of the theory. What do you guys think? Now at number 6 is the true origin story. Now Reddit user Banana04 and many others claim the origin story behind Peppa Pig is as dark as they come. Apparently Peppa was based on a real girl who lived in a secluded wooded area in Tennessee with her family. Her parents were mentally unstable, which caused them to sexually and verbally abuse Peppa, calling her a pig countless times, which caused it to imagine she had other animal friends and caused it to snort at times. She realized they only beat her and not her brother George, so she attempted to kill him but failed and got herself locked in their basement, where she later starved to death. The story came to light because a man actually got lost in those woods and found their house, and her parents agreed to let him stay in the basement, completely forgetting Peppa was there. He learned her story and decided to profit off it. What do you guys think of this horrific origin story? True or false? Coming at number 5 is the lost episode. Now this freaked me out a little bit because I highly doubt this was created by the writers as some sort of spoof episode, but still the fact it exists is just weird. Posted by creepypasta writer 3 years ago on Reddit, he said he bought his daughter a package of bedtime stories titled Peppa Pig Books and Episodes. When he opened it, however, he only found one episode which he put on, and instead of the regular beginning of the episode, it just had Peppa in red writing. Already shady. But then as the episode progressed, he realized something was very wrong. Peppa was a swearing monster, basically saying every curse in the book, and the episode ended up being 2 hours long. Sometimes the screen went fully red and Daddy Pig was seen as a demon with horns and saying Satan over and over again. Now the user thought perhaps his TV was possessed, or the DVD he bought was cursed, or perhaps tampered with, or maybe this was just a spoof episode that was never meant to be found, yet it was. Thoughts? At number 4 is Peppa herself. As much as people love Peppa, let's face it, she's a tiny bit problematic. This theory suggests based on what Peppa's like as a person or pig, she's going to be left with no one, or eventually everyone will just get sick of her and kill her. Why? Here's why. First off, she fat shames Daddy Pig with no remorse. Reason 1, why her dad doesn't like her. Secondly, she's a bad friend. She can't stand losing a game even if her friend wins it, and has to spend around half an episode just whining about it. And during the episode where she's upset she can't whistle and calls up Susie Sheep, Susie ends up whistling on the phone, and Peppa immediately gets sad that Susie can do something that she can't, and then just straight up hangs up on her. Savage. And not to mention her favorite catchphrase, which is "I don't like you anymore, you're not my best friend." I mean, this girl drops people like flies. And finally, she's just a mean sister. Every time she has a friend over, she excludes George like there's no tomorrow, saying he basically can't do anything because he's too little. So it's no surprise that the theory suggests everyone is bound to get sick of her and, you know, off her. Filling our number 3 slot is George, Peppa's cute little younger brother. Now who doesn't love tiny George? However, there may be more to George than we originally thought. Note how 90% of the show's characters have alliterated names: Peppa Pig, Danny Dog, Rebecca Rabbit, oh, Danny and Rebecca, that's funny, Susie Sheep, but George is the only character whose name is not alliterated. And I fail to believe the writers were just too lazy to find a name beginning with P, I mean Paul, Peter, Patrick, I mean the list is endless. So why is George different? One theory claims that George is actually adopted, and since it's pretty much impossible to tell if an animal is adopted on the show, since Peppa, George, Mummy and Daddy all almost look the same, the difference in name is a symbol that tells us he's different and could very well be adopted. As if he doesn't have it hard enough. Now at number 2 is Miss Rabbit, probably the most hard-working character on the show. No, not probably, 100%. Is there anything this woman/rabbit can't do? Throughout the show's run, we've seen Miss Rabbit do pretty much every job you could think of. Cashier, face painter, nurse, helicopter pilot, aquarium caretaker, bus driver, ice cream seller, train driver, library assistant, theme park ticket seller. The list can go on, and believe me, it does. But here's the question, how the hell does Miss Rabbit do all of these jobs? And I'm assuming a lot of these places are open or running at the same time, and surely she can't be everywhere at once. Or can she? This theory claims that Miss Rabbit is secretly a clone, and that's how she's able to be everywhere at once. But clone aside, if we think about the saying breed like rabbits, her parents could have easily just had a huge litter, and thus all of them are just different Miss Rabbits. But that makes no sense, you guys, because her sister is called Mummy Rabbit, so it's not like Miss Rabbit is a triplet or a sextuplet, because her sister is different to her. Hence the theory still stands that Miss Rabbit is a functioning clone in this town, but no one is aware of it. She poses as one Miss Rabbit, but it's physically impossible for her to be just one rabbit. The Queen has to even announce a national holiday the day Miss Rabbit gets the Queen's Award for Industry just so she can go and collect it. So even the Queen buys into her charade. Crafty Miss Rabbit, crafty. And finally, at number 1 is Daddy Pig. I think we all love a bit of Daddy Pig. He's the sweetest thing ever and is a personification of patience. But sadly, this theory claims Daddy Pig is on the path to going insane or murdering his whole family. I know, that took a dark twist, but let me tell you why. Let's go Hannibal on this for a second and analyze Daddy Pig. He's hardworking, a good loving dad, he's an architect, yet he still makes plenty of time for his family, and he's pretty much a model dad. But where are the warning signs? In one episode, Daddy Pig tries ballet dancing and then gets crushed while trying to throw Mummy Pig into the air, and he says nothing about her weight gain, but Peppa blames him and says silly daddy. Next, Peppa's treehouse password is literally Daddy's big tummy because he can't fit through the door, so he has to go through the roof. Obviously he's hurt by Peppa's cruel words, but can't really say anything to her. In another episode, when they go to the beach, everyone splashes Daddy Pig in the water and then they bury him in the sand and forget about him altogether and come back when they realize they're missing a straw hat. No worries about Daddy Pig, but more worries about the bloody straw hat. Even though he's buried up until his neck in sand and basically dying from the heat. And that's only from series 1. Imagine all the other sly digs and humiliation he's suffered in all the other series. All in all, the culmination of all these events would eventually lead Daddy Pig to finally cracking and going on a mass killing spree. Wow. Plot twist indeed. And that's all for today's video, guys. I hope you guys got your dose of Peppa Pig. I know I definitely did. Let me know in the comments below about which theories you can get behind and which theories you think are complete bogus, as I would love to know. I usually try to reply to as many of you as I can do in the comments, so do comment. But as always, guys, I'm your host Ayman Hasan, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!